Few things are for sure in this life, but this is. If we live for any substantial amount of time, we will encounter grief due to the loss of a loved one. Not something any of us ever want, and we all handle it differently. This podcast is to feature those who have done purposeful and meaningful things through their grief. These people featured on here are normal folks, just like you and me, who were thrust into a place they never wanted to be in their lives. A painful place. As they moved through their pain, they realized that something worthwhile, something for the greater good, could come out of the unthinkable. I'm sure that none of them would ever consider themselves to be a hero, but when I searched the definition of the word hero, I found this: a person who is admired or idolized for courage, outstanding achievements, or noble qualities. And that fit. And so it's my privilege to bring you the remarkable stories of these heroes in grief. Hi, everyone. This is Tom, your host for the Heroes in Grief podcast, and the response has been incredible so far, and I want to thank you for that. It's getting out to people, and they're letting us know that it's helping them, and that is what it's all about. I want to make you aware of a way that you can support this podcast without having to spend 1 cent, and that is through affiliate marketing. I've set up affiliate marketing for online shopping. If you do online shopping, then I have links to all the major retailers, most of them anyways, and I can provide them for you so that when you buy online through those links, you'll help support the podcast through the percentages that we get. It doesn't cost you anything more. You just shop like you regularly would on the sites that you love. It's very easy. All you have to do is shop. And that's it. Just let me know the links to the places that you want to shop at, and I will provide the affiliate links so that you can do it. If you want more information on this, you can go to heroesandgrief.com. It takes you to the Linktree page where a video explains it in a little more detail. But you can always email me at tom@heroesandgrief.com, and I can answer questions for you. But you can support the podcast that way, and it's very easy, very simple, and it doesn't cost you a cent. Isn't that great? Thank you. Now here's today's episode. Welcome, everybody, to Heroes in Grief. Thanks for tuning in today. Appreciate it very much, as usual. And if you are tuning in, if you're listening on audio, you can always see these on YouTube as well. So, but I would ask you all, too, if you just subscribe or rate or whatever you can do. Any of those kind of things that you do on a podcast helps the visibility of the podcast. And so I want that because many people are sending me great messages about the guests I have on here and the wonderful things that they're gaining from Heroes in Grief. So that's really my only desire in all of that. I don't make money off this or anything, so it's not anything like that. So just roll with it. But if you can share it and do all those kind of things, it really helps. So anyways, today we have Camille Dan with us. And Camille, I've been associated or connected with her for a little while, and we didn't really communicate at all, but on Instagram, I know we were connected on there, and I was intrigued by the name of what she has on there, and that was Book Club Across the Veil. And so that is one of her websites, and that's bookclubacrosstheveil.com. And her other site is aaronsenergy.com, and that's AARONS energy.com. So you can check out those sites as we're talking here and everything. Camille is professionally, she's a critical care registered nurse. And I'm kind of intrigued by this, Camille, and we'll talk about this in a second, but a medical technical consultant for feature films and television. And so I'm interested in that because I worked ambulance for 15 years. So I want to talk about that because I see in a lot of shows, sometimes I'm complaining about things anyways. So also she's a private investment manager. And but on the grief side, she's a self-published author. And we're going to talk about her books and what she's doing with Book Club Across the Veil as well. So everyone, welcome Camille Dan. Camille, thanks for being on Heroes in Grief.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Tom. I've been following you for quite a while now, and I'm very grateful for the work you do for the grieving community and also the healing that you share with people who are going through a similar experience to what we're both going through.
Yeah, it's my hope and my desire for sure. So, and you mentioned that experience. I failed to mention the most important job you have, and that is that you are a mom. And so, we're going to talk about that and Aaron passing across to the other side and everything. So, I'd love to have people share their stories. So, if you could, please share that story with us, and I'm sure people will gain things from it.
Well, thank you, and I agree with you. I love people sharing their stories. I think that's the most healing thing that has happened for me is sharing my story and hearing other people sharing their stories and feeling like I'm not alone in this.
Hmm.
My eldest Aaron is my eldest son. He was born in November 15th, 1987. On September 22nd, 2019, when he was 31 years old, um, we got the terrible news that no parent ever expects or ever wants to hear, and that he had passed away in a tragic accident. Um, so it was I was in a state of shock for quite a while after this happened. And, you read in my bio, I'm a former critical care nurse. My spiritual side was not my I mean, I felt I was a spiritual person, but I was really mostly guided by science and medicine.
Hmm. Yep.
So I hadn't had much of a belief in any contact with spirits or with the afterlife. And right after my son passed away, a friend of mine came over with a note, and she had had a number of spiritual experiences and clairvoyant type of experiences uh, that she had told me about in the past, and I thought that was very nice for her and her healing. It just wasn't part of my, you know, ideology or physiology, or
Yeah,
sorry,
which is how
philosophy
most
rather.
people usually yeah, oh, I'm sorry, most people take it that way, right? That's usually what they say, right?
Yeah, I
"Oh,
was a skeptic.
interesting."
A skeptic. I was a doubter and a skeptic. And she brought this note over claiming that she had channeled it. So it was written in what's called automatic writing. And at the time, I had never heard of it.
Mhm.
But when she gave me the note, I thought, oh, yeah, we're friends, but there was some things in it that she might not have known, probably didn't know about. And one of those things I thought she probably didn't know about was Aaron had gone through some struggles with addiction.
Mhm.
And so then there was something that happened the next day after she gave me the note that was the biggest evidence of spiritual communication. And that was there was a detective working on Aaron's case at the time that we had to meet with the next day. And he said something that was word for word in the note my friend had given me the day before. Word
Hmm.
for word. I don't remember anything else he said after that. And skipping ahead, it's now been 6 years, and I've had a lot of experiences with spiritual communication in the afterlife in the past 6 years, primarily with my son directly or through mediums or signs and synchronicities. But it took me a few years to realize that Aaron was letting me know right from the beginning that he knew what was going to happen the next day. He told me what would happen the next day in that note. And
W Was that what the, officer said?
No, the exact words were death by misadventure. Okay. And it was, like right at the beginning of the whole thing. And how could my friend have that? There was like, they still haven't fully resolved the case because it happened right before COVID, and the lack of manpower, and the pandemic and all the fallout from the pandemic. The police, it kind of got pushed to the side. So at that time, really not much was known at all. But this was in this note my friend, channeled from Aaron, the exact words the police detective would say the next day.
And that's not a common phrase.
It's not one I had heard, even though I was a critical care nurse. I was in the side of, I wasn't taking care of people who had succumbed to misadventure. I was taking care of patients and, in intensive care and emergency and stuff. It wasn't a common phrase I had heard. No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I certainly wasn't expecting to hear it. And so that was Aaron's first sign to me through a friend. And little by little, over the next year and the following years, Aaron has been guiding me with his signs to meet people, to even write these books that I've written. I feel like Aaron is my co-author. Well, I don't just feel like it, I know he is.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the signs that he's given me have been, I've taken pictures of them. I've luckily had my phone with me, and I've been able to take pictures of them. And they're in my books. The signs that he has, I want to say, sent to me. But I really do believe that the signs are part of a synchronicity that exists within the universe. And Aaron started to talk a lot about physics with me, and quantum physics and all this, which I had never studied before.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I learn about the universe, the physical universe, the more I believe that there is connection across dimensions between us and our loved ones who have transitioned to another dimension.
Mm-hmm. That's something I mention a lot of times that Jeff used to talk about too. And yeah, I see those connections. And I love this because I'm learning along the way. And I just, as you're talking, and this is just so prevalent and I don't seek out people necessarily who believe this like you and I do. And so it's always very interesting. And I always think about the listeners that, this is something that I'm investigating and we're looking into just like anybody else. And so, although we believe it because of what we've experienced. And so it's just neat to see that this thread runs through all the time. And I think that's exactly what you're talking about. We are opening ourselves up to this, or have opened ourselves up to this. So it attracts it to us, and we, then send out the ripple effect to through what we're doing and through all of this to try to show others that it exists and that it's present. And so it just hit me really hard. It was like, oh my gosh, this podcast has taken on this turn without me even really trying to do that. And so it's a confirmation to me, really. That's the way I look at it too. It's another synchronicity, like you talk about, something similar, something along the same lines that is connected and continues just to raise its head. And so, it just confirms things for me. That's the way I look at it.
Well, it confirms things for me too. And, if you look back, I mean, uh, at the way that, I mean, my life took such a different path from the moment Aaron passed. And I would never have expected to meet all the people I've met, you know, and I believe I've been guided to meet by being open and sharing my story. But, you know, in the very early days, I think I could have just as easily locked myself in my room and never come out and never gotten out of my bed.
Yeah.
But people came to me and they gave me recommendations for books and podcasts, and you know and through those books and those podcasts, I I was connected to other people. I found Helping Parents Heal. We're both members of Helping Parents Heal. I found that through people sharing their own
Mhm.
experiences with me. And through Helping Parents Heal, I found so many other ways to connect with people who understand my journey, who are walking the same journey with me, and who know other people who can help me make more connections across the veil. And really, my son, one of the things he said is to me is, we all exist where he is. They exist where we are, and we all exist where they are. And, I'm convinced Aaron and Jeff know each other,
Hmm.
and where they are. And where they are is, or when they are, the dimensions cross paths all the time. And I think this is what signs are about. They're about dimensional intersections, which is what Aaron says to me. Time also intersects. And, the way we are created to experience our physical existence is, to track time as, a linear phenomenon that, goes from past to present to future. Where they are, and Aaron let me know in that note, it doesn't necessarily pass the same way.
Mhm.
For him to tell me what would happen the next day,
Yeah.
and also the way they are able to time the signs that we receive, which is called synchronicity, the sign occurring at the time when it has meaning within our own experience. And I believe they get their messages to us that way, by either connecting their own energy with an animal. You hear about cardinals. A lot of people see birds as signs. Aaron, I see a lot of cardinals. That's one of Aaron's signs, and I believe it's one of my parents' signs also. And sometimes Aaron and my parents come to me as three cardinals. That's happened before.
Hmm.
And some of the ways Aaron has come to me, though, I mean, are so profound that, you know, I I couldn't explain it at the time, but the more I move forward through my grief and on my journey, which has become my life's journey, the blanks get filled in. So for an example, one day, my nose is a little runny. One day, I started following through, I don't know if you know Sandra. Oh, yes, you know Sandra Champlain.
Yes.
Had her
Yes.
on your show. And I started following Sandra Champlain right away after Aaron's transition. And through Sandra Champlain, I learned a lot. I read her book, We Don't Die. I started listening to her podcast. And I came across a person called Sonia Rinaldi.
Mm-hmm.
You know about Sonia Rinaldi?
I do.
Yes, and her experiments with transimagery and
Mm-hmm.
electronic voice phenomenon, and I was fascinated with it. Anyway, a documentary was made on Sonia Rinaldi. Sandra Champlain produced it, and I was anxious to see it. It came out February 22nd of 2022. So I signed up to watch the premiere of it, and at about 58 minutes into the documentary, Sonia showed photographic images, trans images they're called, of people in spirit. And she has thousands of these images of people who have not yet been identified. So she
Mm-hmm.
saves the images, but she doesn't know who they are. A photo of my son, Aaron, appears in the documentary.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
The documentary currently I know is on Tubi because that's where I've watched it.
Yeah.
So it may be on the other platforms, but it's on Tubi. It's simply called Rinaldi for those who want to check it out. Amazing stuff, incredible stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, some of the stories of some of the people who have gone to her site and found their child, their loved one's images on there have been incredible.
Absolutely incredible. I know people personally who have found images of their children and their loved ones in Sonia's catalog of unknowns, and literally going through thousands of them. So because I was on the watching the premiere, I was able to quickly type in to a chat that an image of my son just appeared. I was like, I nearly fell off my chair. It was so
I would
obviously
imagine.
him. Yeah. It
Yeah,
wasn't a
yeah.
photo of him I had ever seen either. It's not like it was, already somewhere on the internet or something. This was a completely unique photo of him I had never seen before. So afterwards, I followed up with Sonia because I had discovered who one of the unknown images belonged to.
Mhm.
Sonia went on to find over 100 more images of Aaron.
Wow.
And in some of the images of him, he is with my parents.
Wow. I had not heard that before.
I'm so, you know what? If I had any shred of skepticism or doubt, that put an end to it, because how would a woman in Brazil know that these three people who have transitioned across the veil even knew each other, for them to be together in trans imagery in her laboratory?
Yeah, yeah.
And this was so obviously them. She also had photos of my father. And also, these images confirmed some things that mediums had said when I had gone to mediums for reading. And I am. Is it okay if I name some of the mediums I've
Yes, sure.
Okay, so because I would love to recommend them. They are all certified mediums. So they've either been certified by Helping Parents Heal or Forever Family Foundation. One of the one of the mediums I met with is Mark Anthony, the psychic
Hmm.
lawyer. Another medium is Lisa Wilcoxon,
Yes.
who we both know very well through
Hmm.
Helping Parents Heal.
Mark
Another,
was also on my podcast.
yeah, he's
Mark
amazing.
has been on.
Eh,
Yeah.
Jaw-dropping. So, you
Yep.
know, when you have a reading with him. Sherry Gallant is a medium here in Canada, who is remarkable. Her, the reading I had with her and what came through, mostly from my father, there's no way she could have known what she knew.
Hmm.
Um, so, those are some mediumship readings I've sat for that have really stood out. Uh, just incredible. Another medium, Cheryl Murphy. I don't know if you're familiar with Cheryl Murphy. I haven't
No.
seen Cheryl yet with Helping Parents Heal, but she some of the things there's when they share information with you that they couldn't have possibly known. And in every single one of those readings, that happened for me. So I've found it a very successful way to connect with my
Hmm.
son and my parents across the veil.
Yeah. You're fortunate because there's a lot of times, and the mediums will even tell you this, that sometimes there's not that connection for whatever reason, and it does happen. So
Mhm.
you're very fortunate in that. And, I appreciate your candidness about all of this because people who are skeptics or don't believe or wondering. I think that the way you're going, you're relating all of this is showing that, your amazement in this too, that, it's amazing and it's astounding. And,
Yeah.
then when we talk about certified mediums, as you said, these mediums have been put through tests, and they're blind tests actually, where they have to give these 4 or 5 evidences that no way anyone could know about these things, and that's how they get certified. So that's what they've gone through to show that, and it's astounding. I have not had a reading ever yet.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't know why, but I haven't.
Do you think you
But
ever will?
yeah, I will. I will.
Good,
Yeah.
good. I
So,
highly recommend it. I highly recommend it.
yeah. So these things are all happening. You have 2 sites there. You have aaronsenergy.com, and then that also leads you to Book Club Across the Veil as well on that site. W- Is there different, what's the aaronsenergy.com site about?
Well, Aaron's Energy is also the name of my first book. And can I show you?
Yeah.
So it's the subtitle is An Unexpected Journey Through Grief and the Afterlife with My Brilliant Son.
Hmm.
And I had never written a book before. And again, I was a science minded person. I would have never anticipated if I ever did write a book, which I never planned to do, that it would be on something science-y, you know? So
Yeah.
this book was, I mean, every part of this was an unexpected journey for me. Every single part of it, starting with Aaron's passing. And every moment since then has been unexpected, but under these circumstances I've been so grateful for. And the first thing I thought of when I decided to publish the book, and I self-published, I didn't think anyone would be interested in reading my story. I thought maybe I'll publish it and family members will have a record of, Erin's life. And
Hello, friends. I just wanted to take a brief break here in the podcast to make you aware of a very exciting partnership that Heroes in Grief has just formed, and that is with Get Griefy magazine. I'm going to let their founder and editor-in-chief, Kara Sanchez, tell you all about it.
Hey, Heroes in Grief listeners. Life after loss isn't easy, but it can be colorful and full of possibilities. Meet Get Griefy magazine, a vibrant resource filled with inspiring stories of life after loss, expert advice, and voices from everyday grievers and thought leaders. Together, they're here to help guide you toward the side of life that's left to be lived fully and authentically. Dive into Get Griefy for free on issue or snag a print copy on Amazon. Connect with us on Instagram at Get Griefy Magazine or visit getgriefymagazine.com to explore, join our thriving small business collective, or discover advertising opportunities. Let's embrace life after loss, boldly and together.
And now back to our episode.
what happened, it started as my journal, and these signs that kept coming to me started to fill my journal. And I decided I would write them down so I wouldn't forget them, because in grief, the grief fog is real.
Yeah.
My memory was terrible. My even I had days I couldn't remember what day it was, and I had long periods of sorrow, and I didn't go out. I didn't, want to connect with anyone. I just wanted to wallow in my grief and my sadness. So at least when I wrote things down, I wouldn't forget them. So that was really the original purpose I had for my journaling. Eventually, these signs were in every entry, and I thought, you know what, I don't know if anyone's going to believe this, but I started sharing them with a few people, especially my friend who used to share hers with me. I was able to share them with her. And eventually, Erin told me that I was going to write a book. It's even evidence of it is even in my book near the end of Erin's Energy, where I opened I opened an email. I still didn't think I was ever going to publish a book, but this was in February of 2021. I opened an email by mistake. It was one of those scam ones that you're not supposed to open, and I accidentally clicked on it. And when it opened, it had my horoscope in it. Okay, and I don't know a lot about astrology, but I read it, and this is what it said. It's time to get back out there, Leo. That's my sign. The world needs your genius in 2021, and the stars are encouraging you to make a big statement this year. Launch that project, commit to your art, or find a publisher for that amazing manuscript. Okay.
Like getting hit upside the head, right?
Hit upside the head. And only a few days before that, my friend who wrote the note, the first sign from Erin, told me out of nowhere, Erin said, you're going to write a book.
Wow.
This is how it's like an unfolding path for me.
Yeah.
And the signs just got to be so obvious. And the light that I was following, I used to think of Aaron as a light in the sky. And that's where the word brilliant came from in the subtitle. He was a brilliant person in life. He was quite brilliant, actually. Um, I started to think of his light from across the veil as a brilliant light. I couldn't miss the signs. They were so brilliant.
Mm.
And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to do it then. So I go on Amazon KDP. And at the time, that was, there weren't a lot of options for self-publishing, but I found that one. I followed the instructions and published the book. Within a few days, it was number one in its category. And I was, oh, that can't be right. Why would anyone even buy this? It's my personal story. But little did I know how it would resonate with how many other people. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And
Well, Aaron and others certainly did have an idea, right?
They certainly did. And because of doing that, that's how I met so many other people whose story resonated with mine and who wanted to share their story. People were reaching out to me on, Facebook and social media with their own stories. And that is how my next book, Gathering at the Doorway, came to be. Gathering at the Doorway is an anthology, a collection of over 40 authors from around the world who wanted to share their stories about their connections with loved ones across the veil, their stories of signs and messages, their stories of visits from loved ones across the veil in dreams and in Sonia Rinaldi's lab. In fact, Sonia Rinaldi is a contributor to Gathering at the Doorway. And the book originally started with 10 friends, and next thing I knew, it was growing and growing. And Sandra Champlain heard about it, and Suzanne Giesman heard about it, and Helping Parents Heal members found out about it, and that's how it grew to 40 chapter contributors. And it's really a book of spirituality and science, because some of the contributors are scientists in the field of study of consciousness, beyond the physical. And that is just that those research studies, and they're legitimate. They follow this scientific method, and they legitimately show that consciousness does follow. We're not entirely limited to our physical existence, that consciousness exists beyond the physical.
Mm-hmm. I think it was at the last Helping Parents Heal conference, or I know it was there. I'm thinking it was Mark Pitstick, possibly, when he was speaking. He was the first person, and I have investigated much like you and listened and watched so many thousands of testimonies and investigated what the doctors, scientists were saying, the highly regarded people about all these things. And so he was the first one, I'm pretty sure it was him there, who said, there is now proof, or there's no denying that we exist beyond this life. And he was the first one who just said it so definitively, all of us believe that this is true. And a lot of them will usually say, you know, there's evidence of this or whatever, but he was just definitive about it, that there
Yes.
is no doubt anymore. And
Yes,
so,
and as a matter of fact, Dr. Mark Pitstick is a contributor to Gathering at the Doorway,
mm,
as is Dr. Piero Calvi Parasetti, who is a brilliant medical doctor and scientist who has studied consciousness beyond the physical in patients who have are in comas, or patients who have had near-death experiences, patients who have no uh, no frontal cortex function,
mm,
and his studies are so convincing. And even since Gathering at the Doorway was published in 2022, a lot has come out in science and quantum physics, and to demonstrate that consciousness, and what we call consciousness, you know, has consciousness yet been defined? No, but are we uh, part of the conscious universe? Yes, because the universe is conscious.
hmm yeah.
And
And we're energy. Everything's
yes,
energy. Yeah.
yes,
Mm.
yes. And
Yeah, I
Aaron
can really
talks.
go deep into this.
Well, my first book, Aaron's Energy, is called Aaron's Energy because his messages to me are all about energy, energy transfer,
hmm
energy compatibilities, energy um, exchanges, he calls them. I came to find out that it's called entanglement.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
it's called interference. You know, what he called
hmm
intersection. We are patterns of interference of energy. You know,
hmm
everything in the physical world is a pattern of interference of electrons and light particles and sound that causes coherence. And this is what I've been reading about with Aaron's guidance. So my first encounter with Aaron, personally, was when we were coming up north, which is where I am now. We live in Ontario, and it's beautiful up here in the fall. It was right around this time of year that we came up here after within a couple 3 weeks of Aaron passing. And the colors up here in the fall are absolutely magnificent. And we were driving. I wasn't driving, I was the passenger in the car, and we were driving, and as you leave the city and you know, the forests are lining the highway, they're just glowing with these beautiful colors, you know. And I started to kind of fall into a lull, thinking that, you know, how beautiful it is. And all of a sudden, that grief tidal wave hit me when I thought
hmm
that Aaron was never going to see a beautiful sight like this again. And immediately upon having that thought, I heard Aaron say to me, as if he was a passenger in the car with us, "I do see it, Mom." And I looked, and nobody else in the car seemed to have heard this. And I thought, Is Aaron, is that you?" "Yes, Mom, it's me. I can see the colors, but they don't look like you see." He said, "I don't see them the way you see them. I see the energy that the leaves on the trees are emitting. The colors are beyond what you can see, indescribable to you.
Wow.
And yeah, and that was his first message to me that I heard audibly. Since then, I started to have to learn to connect the dots to understand his messages from his signs. But eventually, every dot will connect. I mean, sometimes it takes longer to connect one dot to another. Sometimes it's instant, like that. But he is definitely around me. He is definitely communicating with me, as are all of our loved ones. And, I'd like to let people know that it's a new language that we have to learn. They're learning where they are. They're learning an incredible new language that consists of way more than just words,
Mm-hmm.
the new language that they're trying to teach us. And it can take time. It depends on a lot of different factors, not just on us and how we learn and what we expose ourselves to, and how open-minded we are. It takes them time to learn how to relay the signs and their messages and communicate with us. But it will come. If it hasn't come for some, it it eventually comes for everyone.
Yeah. I think that people sometimes think that, okay, well, if they're in the afterlife, then they must have like these superpowers. And in a sense, they do. But
Mhm.
in the other sense, that learning, and we're on a path of learning. Our consciousness, our spirit is learning too, just as we are as humans on this earth. And so they're not up there and able to do these magical things that, you know, people would expect. Like they think, okay, well, appear in front of me or these type of things.
Yeah.
No, because of that frequency needing to align and join, it's not as easy as that. And so they do their best to enter into us too, and they have to learn how to do that and come down to us and be able to connect that way and find the means to get across to us, whether it be electronics, whether it be through animals or those type of things. So they have all these avenues to be able to do that, or you know they have learned to that level maybe, and we don't understand, we can't understand the magnitude of everything that they experience there, and that's said by a lot of near death experiencers. The colors are indescribable, the sounds are undescribable, and they do their best in our human limitations to be able to describe that. And so sometimes I think you might get a message that you can't understand, because
Exactly.
we have our human limitations. And so we do need to somehow open ourselves up or get to a higher frequency level to be able to maybe discern that or have them describe it to us better. That makes a
Yeah,
lot of
that's
sense.
exactly what Aaron has told me, is where they exist in a realm of potential. We
Mm,
exist in the the what they call the collapse of the wave function into physical matter. Where they exist is entirely potential. And what they have at their disposal to communicate to us in our material existence is so vastly beyond our ability to comprehend or even perceive. And so I'm sure they go through a lot of, I'm sure that, you know, just based on that message from him, everything is could be potentially a sign for us.
hmm
What makes it important and makes it a sign is that we're part of it. We have to be. We have to be the witness. We have to see it. We have to hear it. We have to feel it in order for it to be a sign for us. So it's very interesting. Aaron says to me that, you hear a lot about the soul plan, the soul's purpose, and what is our purpose? What are we here for? What is our soul's purpose? The universe's purpose is to create. We are all partners in creation. We're limited partners. If you're a business person, you might be familiar with that term. But we are partners in creation. We possess abilities, unique abilities. Sometimes we don't even appreciate that, we possess unique abilities, but we do. And those unique abilities are for the purpose of creation, as a part of a greater creation, an ongoing, unlimited, endless, eternal creation. And once we see ourselves as partners in creation, I think it makes it easier for us to understand our purpose. It makes it easier also to understand our soul's plan and how we remain connected to it across the veil. We're a part of it. It's a part of us, and that can't be undone. It's even no matter what we do, whether we are doing it right or whether we're making a mistake or whether we don't remember or whether we do remember, we are part of creation, and we are constantly part of it in every little thing that we do or that we don't do. And what we do, we have a choice to be a part of it, but we also have a choice to not be part of it, and even choosing to not be part of it, we still are. Yeah. By not doing, or by, this concept of, Aaron talks a lot about negativity, and it's where he is, where Jeff is, where all our loved ones are. Negativity doesn't mean bad. It doesn't mean the same thing to them. Negativity means opportunity for creation. When you think about negatively charged particles, negative spin, negative space, this is all making way for creation. And that's where they are. And they're in a dimension, and in a number of dimensions. There's so many different dimensions that Aaron talks about of creation. And we are going to be there with them. We are currently with them. We just have the physical veil blocking our awareness of it. But we are currently with them, and we are going there after we're finished what we're here for. And we are here serving a purpose. We are where we are supposed to be, every single one of us, and including Jeff and Aaron and all our loved ones. They are where they are supposed to be.
Yeah, I think that even those who are not at the depth of this that we are, or in belief of this and understanding of it, when you look at society and they talk about, positive mental image and these type of things, and even to the extreme of that, to manifest things in your life and do those type of things, that's creation. You are creating your reality with those type of things. And I think that when you do tap into this energy the way that you need to, then you are able to do those things. And so, I mean, everybody's heard the wild extreme things, like bringing wealth to themselves or health to themselves and these type of things. But there are examples of that even in, let's say, secular society, compared to what we're talking about, that believe this and understand this and know
Yeah.
that. And there's a reason for that, because it's true and it really happens. So, for everybody, no, because everyone's at a different place and everyone has to continue to open themselves up and grow in this to be able to reach levels of that sometimes. Am I able to make myself wealthy right now? No. I wish I could. But maybe there's a different path that I'm supposed to be in. So you got to just accept that and roll in the context of that. And there are other things of abundance that come out of that are there to be discovered.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one powerful message Aaron has given to me about uh, creation and our partnership in it is love is the energy of creation.
Mm.
So all creation happens powered by love. So to me, that's one of his most important messages. So focus on what you just said, on love, on gratitude, on abundance, and keep going that way. And, whatever a person's definition is of wealth, well, that sounds like wealth to me.
Yeah, that has been the one thing as I decipher, I guess, what our purpose on this earth is. And the same thing keeps coming back. Again, you talk about the near death experiencers or those who have connected with the other side. And love is the big, big word. It's a huge word. And so our existence in love and that interconnectedness is the two most important things that I see. And that means that you are going to respond to others the way that, in love like that, well, you'll respond to others the way that we're supposed to, since we are all interconnected. And that's still sifting all of that out, but that's what I determine out of that. And it comes down pretty much like love, that huge word, to carry that with you in everything that you're doing. And then, as all of the major religions have in them, some semblance of the golden rule, care for others as you would yourself. And
Absolutely. Yes.
and so there's a reason why that exists in all of those, because it's been imparted to mankind all through the centuries. And
Yes.
so and that's like we're experiencing and learning about too.
Yes. Yes. Definitely. Definitely.
Hmm.
I agree.
Well, we're almost at an hour, Camille. Unbelievable.
An hour that
I
flew
love it.
by.
I love the conversation. And again, the way that you convey it, I think, is going to be very powerful for people, because to me, I feel like I'm just talking to someone about this that is at the same place, the same kind of understanding that a normal person would be. And I think that's how you experienced it. So you
Yeah.
do bring that across very well, because sometimes, and we've been in touch with these people who are way up in this this arena, I guess, or whatever, and sometimes it just seems, just not as personal, I guess,
Kind of
as sometimes it can seem.
over your head a bit, right? Like I
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes,
yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, I just love the conversations that we have on here, um, because my hope always is that the person listening in is feeling like they're just sitting here with us, and they're exploring all this and the amazement of it all, just like we are. And,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
so,
Me too. And most of the people that I've connected with are are doing the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
So I want to talk just quickly about bookclubacrosstheveil.com. So you just, because of the experiences you had and the collaboration that you did and everything, you just wanted to start listing the books of importance out there for you, for others to, or to share for others so that they might read them too.
Yeah, so what I decided to do was share books online instead of just, interpersonally, because I thought that, it would go a lot farther. So I
Mhm.
started a website and a book club. We have a book of the month every month that I choose. And on my website, I've literally accumulated hundreds of books on spirituality and mediumship and afterlife and all the subjects we've been discussing, so that people can easily go on there and find something that interests them. And each book cover icon is linked to where they can purchase it. And all of the books are rated 4 and 5-star.
Hmm. Now I'm looking at your book of the month right now, and it is called Love Untethered: How to Live When Your Child Dies by Vanessa May. And I just recorded Vanessa on my podcast, and it'll be released
Wow.
very soon.
Talk about synchronicity.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I felt that all through this conversation, I'll tell you that
Yes,
much. So
yeah. Oh, I
amazing.
can definitely feel Aaron here and Jeff, and they're high-fiving each other. Aaron loves to eavesdrop on all my conversations and add a few pointers along the way, so
Yeah, you want to know what I'm a social media marketer, self-made, and much experience in social media. So on Instagram, I mean, your site handle keeps coming up, and I know you do support the posts I put up and everything else, but that's not the norm on all my social media stuff. And so that's been going on for a long time. And
mhm,
so that's just another example to me of this. And again, I felt that all through this conversation too, that, you just kept popping up, popping up, popping up. And I wasn't like, oh, I got to contact her about being on the podcast. That never happened. It was like, oh, you're there. I've occasionally go look and see what you got on there and those type of things, and thought it's a great resource. And, so yeah, that's, there's no doubt that we are connected and have been connected by Aaron and Jeff
for
and the
sure,
rest of them up there. So,
for sure. No doubt in my mind too.
Camille, thank you so much for coming on Heroes in Grief. I know people are going to be energized by this conversation, and I'm sure we'll have more beyond this. So, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for this episode and for all you do, all your wonderful work.
Thank you for listening to the Heroes in Grief podcast. If you'd like access to any of the links that we discussed in today's show, you can find them in the show notes. There's also a link there to support the podcast if you care to. And there is an email link for me there. I'd love to hear from you and your ideas about the show or what you thought about the show. You really can help out this podcast to get to more people if you subscribe, rate, or review it in whichever way your platform provides. Each week, Heroes in Grief is released on Sunday, so look for new episodes there. Thank you again for listening to Heroes in Grief.